And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the World Championship Series Europe Premier League round of 16. We are in Group C right now, and we've already had our first game. It might just be a very quick evening because we've got plenty of PvPs here tonight. Todd's back with me at the analyst desk. What did you make of that first game? Was that Wellmu playing a bit daft, or was that just Baby Knight just reacting to what he saw? What do you make of it?
I think Baby Knight covered the analysis pretty well for that series. I think Wellmu might have out-leveled himself, out-thought himself. And yeah, it's just when you try to get into the mind games, it's a little bit too hard sometimes. You're going to go a little bit too far, and you're going to be like 2 levels ahead. And in that case, going twice for Dark Templars against somebody like Baby Knight, who's very good with Blink Stalkers, who already did it in the first game on one of the best Blink Stalkers map, not going to work.
No, indeed. So we'll move on to game number 2. But if you did blink and you missed it, here's what you missed via the bracket. Yes, I did just make a blink joke. I know, sorry. And as we can see, Baby Knight advancing through to the winners' final. Now, the weird thing about that is that Sean and I spoke at the top of the show and made him the slight outsider. So that's a little bit of a surprise straight off the bat. But he'll play StarDust or TLO. Be careful with the power that's invested in you here, Todd, okay? We're going to try and have a look at these two players. It's very interesting, this matchup, for a number of reasons. TLO right now, just... Statistically speaking, the German player is 50.9% in ZVP. It's his worst matchup. You can see the stats on your screen right now of some of the positions they're in WCS ranks right now. TLO in 18th, StarDust in 11th. So very closely matched in terms of points in WCS rankings. But go back to the statistics again. StarDust right now, his best matchup, PvP. He is 6th in the world for PvP right now with 68.1% win rate across all matches that he's played. So we've got the German player with his lowest and the Korean player with his highest. And that surely says everything we need to know, except that, one small point, StarDust has never beaten TLO.
Was that on purpose? Okay. For me, this matchup is StarDust, a guy who basically became super famous by winning a DreamHack in which he beat a lot of Zergs. It was his best matchup by far at the time. He inspired a lot of people. He had this one strategy. Ever since, he's kept up with his Protoss versus Zerg matchup very, very well. He's always been doing well in it. And on the other hand, you have TLO, somebody who's always been very good at defending 2 bases play, which StarDust is very famous for. TLO, he's had a lot of good... The little one has some very good own strategies, really proper to himself, like bailing drops, Zergling heavy composition, with which he just waits until you go for your 2 base, he identifies it very early on, and then he defends it just by being aware it's going to come. And we could be seeing games like this here, and I would give the edge to the German player if that was to happen, maybe. I'm good at this.
You're good at that, I tell you, he's learning. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Todd. We'll hear from Todd at the end of our second game. It's almost time to get into our second match of Group C, which means handing you over to our commentary team of Kalaris and Apollo for your match of, wait for it, StarDust versus TLO.
Thanks very much, guys. All right, this is going to be a good one. We had a bit of a swift end to our first series, yes, but I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. I'm quite excited for this one, having spoken to TLO a lot recently and just kind of understanding how he plays inside and outside the game. But it's StarDust, and we've seen StarDust's rise to the top last year, especially against Zerg players, taking them out time after time after time in many different tournaments. And this one is going to be a good one for sure.
It will be. Well, let's get into the map veto first before we really crunch the numbers.
TLO is going to get rid of Habitation Station and Yonsu. Right there, calling it.
All right, done.
Calling it.
And then StarDust?
I hope so. Come on, cross fingers. I don't know about StarDust.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Aldazim.
But I think there are good choices anyway, right? Yonsu for Zerg players. Why on earth would you want to play against a Protoss on Yonsu?
Yeah.
It's
I think StarDust will get rid of bigger maps. Maybe Altazim and Daedalus, I think.
Yeah, I think
if I was going to stab a guess.
Yeah, like a breathing room for TLO here is just absolutely... StarDust wants to take that away, wants to choke him. And Daedalus point going away, you know, big map in the open during a
Every
transition.
Protoss vetoes that.
Yeah, you don't want to play it.
It's way too difficult to play. The natural ramp and so on, very difficult to play. Yonsu for TLO, Immortal all-in. StarDust loves to 2-base, loves to be aggressive, get rid of that. Altazine maybe for StarDust here.
Yeah,
Big
I would
map.
think so.
Ling Ultra probably going to come out from TLO there. Hard for StarDust to play super aggressive on. We'll see. It depends on preference. Habitation removed from StarDust. That actually is pretty good for TLO because I know as 100% TLO would have vetoed Habitation Station. He hates that.
Yeah.
He hates that map. He lost versus Harston in it recently in the Vazicast Invitational. So now, in my opinion, I think this is pretty good for TLO because he can say, well, I kind of get I get 3 vetoes and you get 1.
Exactly.
So he can actually set the map pool kind of nice for himself here. So maybe Heavy Rain.
Maybe. And let's cast our minds back to, as well, the round of 32, where we saw TLO doing pretty well on maps like Altazine Stronghold. So I'm kind of surprised that StarDust didn't really go for that.
I think TLO is taking so long because he's so surprised at Habitation Station going out. So I think he's going to maybe Heavy Rain, a bit more difficult to defend against attacks, whereas Polar Knight could be a little bit more aggressive for TLO. Let's see.
This is an interesting map, Vito, I gotta say. I also wasn't expecting that. And we will get rid of Altazine Stronghold. So it's funny because in the end we kind of expected...
was that TLO getting rid of Altazine?
It seemed to have been.
Okay.
So
this is a pretty good map pool, though.
Yeah.
These 3 maps for both players.
Yeah, we have Heavy Rain, Frost, and then what do we have left? It was Polar Knight, right? Okay, so let's see what map order we're going to have in. Heavy Rain to
great
open
start
things
for StarDust. That's the map we've seen Sand so successful on with his Zealot plays. Definitely a great map for StarDust to take a fast third, be aggressive. Just that's a cool map pool.
Polar Knight and finally Frost. There's the handshake, and it's not going to stop. These guys really, really making sure that handshake is good and firm.
I'm quite excited for this series, actually. I mean, throughout I think the last year with StarDust's rise to the top, we've seen so many different types of aggressive strategies come out from him.
Yeah.
There's a reason he's called Cheese Dust, or nicknamed Cheese Dust in the StarCraft community.
And he embraces it.
He loves it. He loves it. His micro and his control's fantastic. His execution's one of the best.
And, okay, we need to talk about this because he is a scary man when it comes to this matchup.
Look at those stats across the board. Fantastic.
Jeez. Okay, so we crunched the numbers, and StarDust right now in the WCS round of 16 here for Europe has the sickest stats across all matchups. 45 series won and 10 lost. That's 82%.
Yeah.
And then you come to this matchup, he's 19-2.
Wow.
In WCS games. That's crazy.
That's really impressive stats. That's the most impressive stats we've seen so far.
Yeah, he was
out of everyone.
15-1 in 2013, 4-1 currently in 2014.
That's not bad as well, though. That's pretty solid overall, too.
It is. It's pretty darn good.
Very solid.
It's actually one of the best VPs that we have in WCS Europe at the moment. We're sitting around 17 wins and 9 losses during WCS games.
That's pretty good, 17-9.
Yeah, and during all of that as well, we've seen more of that pickup towards the end of the pool of games that we've seen. So this shows that TLO's form in the matchup right now is very, very good and very, very strong.
Yeah, TLO right now in his form is probably in the best form of his life. In all of StarCraft 2 and Supreme Commander. I'm going to say it. I think he's in really good shape right now. We've seen him perform so well already this year. He's racked up a massive amount of WCS points too. He started his 2014 year strong because remember last year, TLO was one of those guys, aside from Naniwar and Scarlet, where we were like, if he does well in Season 3 in 2013, he could go to BlizzCon. But he went out in the round of 32 and just smashed the hopes. And he was really upset about that. And already this year, top 4 in Sao Paulo. So massive points. He's in the top 16 here. Had a bit of a disappointing Intellectual Masters Cologne, but you can't win them all, right? You can't win them all and do well in all of them. So we'll see how far he can do today to push his WCS points. He definitely is aiming for a top 16 finish this year. Absolutely.
The points that he's accrued at the start of this year are very, very strong. He is, I think, along with like Snoot, very, very high up there, showing that Liquid Zergs are performing extremely strongly at the moment. And now, though, this is why I'm so excited for this match for today. This, for me, is possibly the highlight match with the way in which both of them play it out, the statistics that we have to back up those records, and how they've been playing throughout the WCS games in general. I am very, very excited for this one. This
is going to be good. So Heavy Rain, the first map here, between these two guys. Nice and small two-player map here. What does StarDust have planned? The thing that I look at with TLO in this group is he has to dodge multiple bullets. He needs to have starred in the Matrix, because the amount of bullets coming his way with 3 Protoss players in his group, the different types of all-ins that are going to come his way, he best be dodging them.
He has to. He has to. Let's get into it, though. Game number 1 between StarDust and the Little One.
Yeah, good ranks already this year. 10 and 17 already. It's very strong.
Very, very strong indeed. Spawning down at the bottom right-hand corner as our red Protoss. Representing my insanity, it is StarDust. And up to the northern position here as our blue Zerg. Representing Team Liquid, it's TLO.
I think you made me out of hear that. That's funny. There's a lot of people here just on the top of their heads screaming.
Yeah. Very well.
So yeah, StarDust is going to open up here, by the looks of it, with either a Forge or a Fast Nexus with his pylon down on the low grounds. But yeah, since DreamHack Summer, where we saw StarDust just go to the top of the world and win that tournament, with the beating the likes of like Violet, Leenock, Hyun, Jaedong, all of them, beat all those Zergs. He's had such a successful year. He joined WCS Europe in Season 2 in Challenger League and made his debut in Premier League in Season 3 and got 6th place straight away. So a fantastic start in the Premier League last season. And since then, he's done rather well for himself. But that's an early Forge here, Claris.
It is. StarDust.
Could be definitely a couple of reasons here. Definitely could be looking for a bit of a cannon rush, because TLO has in the past used a lot of hatchery first builds, 3-hatch builds. But recently, uses spawn and pull first every single game. So this should just fall back onto an expansion.
He's going to have a little bit of a look around, see what he can find out. Quick question. Do you recall...
Tell me. Ask me.
This was the map where TLO was using the Nidoswarm Hydralisk playing round of 32? Was it this map?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I can't quite recall, but regardless of that fact, the one thing that TLO
no, that
has...
was Frost. It was Frost.
Was it Frost?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. He had a good array of builds that are open to him if he can just get past this starting aggression of StarDust. So I think this is probably the map that StarDust tries to go for aggression from here, but...
Yeah. I definitely think he's going to be aggressive on this map. It's a perfect map to do so. If you attack on the right-hand side of TLO's base, it's such a beautiful position outside the third to force field and just use Immortals and Stalkers and just have overall a great fight. We've described StarDust playstyle a lot. Aggressive, going to be very control-focused, look to execute a nice strategy. TLO, though, is a little bit of a different Zerg. He's not really going to use Swarm Hosts in this series or in any other series today. If he does, then it's kind of on the fly decision. He's like, all right, I'll do it. But he's not a Swarm Host player. He's like a bit like Nurture in terms of he doesn't want to use them, doesn't like them.
Yeah, he's very rarely going for that, and just using other avenues to press down. And normally, you know, Swarm Hosts can be a good option on this map. So if we see him really backed into a corner, then this will be one of the prime opportunities for him to do something like that.
I think he'd play a Roach Hydra Corrupt Mulus style.
Yeah.
Initially, that's what he's best at.
All right, well, this probe hiding out in plain sight right in the middle of the map to eventually get a scout over on that third base. And he probably will end up spotting it. Those Zerglings aren't being too aggressive down this path. So that's a good spot there for StarDust to start things off.
Yep, so a pretty standard game from both sides. So TLO's open without taking any gases and is just really focused on his economy and just mineral income only, which is going to allow him drones, hatcheries, and of course queens here. Already starting to bring them down the rocks nice and early against any potential attack straight through the middle with a couple of units to slow that down. And now adds on a single gas here, and we'll be looking to get Zergling speed and even second gas coming in. So with that, he can start to get Zergling speed. Roach 1 could come down if he spots anything where he would need Roach's defend against potential attacks. And already from StarDust, +1 attack. Does TLO's Overlord on the natural see the Forge?
I think so. Oh, just barely out of range of it.
Yeah, but there is a Ling or Lings around, so they usually want to be just looking at the front, but I don't think they've found the probe yet, so he's still actively looking around.
And that Zealot moving through the middle of the map. The rocks didn't get fully killed off, I don't think, in the middle. So, and that probe now just pokes forwards at the natural, has a look around, sees a little bit of creep being spread between these bases, which it will eventually make it easier for TLO to defend if anything were to come along.
Yeah, shouldn't be losing a drone here at all versus this Zealot.
Yep, has to just run away and tucks himself away nicely.
Stalker out now as well. Can complicate. Yes.
Super complicated.
Things here. As TLO with Zerglings be quite a way away from this, but so far from StarDust, just +1 attack. Is he looking at a fast third? Potentially, he's focused so heavily on his chrono boost into the Nexus and has increased his probe count significantly here. Look, keeping up with TLO.
That's impressive. The probe on the left-hand side will eventually get spotted, I think, by a Ling. Just barely out of range of that. But keeping that probe around there to try and spot something later on could be nicely done, but also he could just throw up on a pylon for aggression.
Yeah, TLO's looking to find out what's going on. He sees quite a lot of probes on the natural and double gases, and is kind of not really seeing too much right now. I think this could be a third base coming out off the back of these gateways here, but TLO's going to go in and spot additional gateways added on. He's already got a Roach run down and is building a lot of overlords, and we know that StarDust is an aggressive player, so seeing these gateways, there's always an option that there are more gateways hidden somewhere else, so it looks like TLO stopped droning at 53, 6 more being added on. He spots the probe and Zealot on the third, which tells him this is going to be that expansion play.
And this is something that really defines...
drones.
Wow. Okay, greedy. This is something that really defines TLO's play against Protoss. Let's just cast our minds briefly back to the round of 32 where he was playing against Genius on this very map.
Yeah.
He scouted out everything his opponent was doing. He hasn't spotted this Twilight Council just yet, but he scouted out everything. And then from there, he was able to react accordingly, and Genius just got put in a tight bind. He was like, well, I had a plan, now you've seen it, like, what do I do from here? So for now, TLO's playing his game. He knows about the third. Really needs to know about the +2 blink, though.
Yeah, he might be able to imagine that this is a very common strategy here to go for the third base quite fast off +1 and then go to Twilight Council for +2 and blink. And to kind of be gateway heavy if you're not going to open Stargate into Colossus here. It's quite common recently with Protoss players. But TLO's starting to build up quite a heavy Roach count. He droned up at the right times, didn't really build any unnecessary units, and has got a fantastic economy. 68 workers to 48 from StarDust here. He was adding on more and more units. He's got 7 sentries now, adding on quite a few Stalkers, and with 3 gateways about to complete 2. And he is rushing out the +2, by the way, and blink, so...
He has no more probes in production, so... He could actually just try and hit this and have that third Nexus.
We've already seen TLO been building an army for the last couple of waves of lava that he's had.
Yeah, so it probably won't end up working. TLO's right up there in terms of supply right now.
He's got Roach speed too, so he's not going to really get caught out by these force fields.
And that's a good place to set up the concave if he was to greet StarDust there. We force out a lot of force fields, and he actually does catch a lot of them, but those force fields aren't really doing a whole lot at all. Yes, they deny the retreat out, but all those Roaches right on top of this, if he just focuses down sentries from there and tries to replenish up, but that +2 blink is about to finish. He could rely on blink stalkers from there on out.
TLO's hitting before blink and +2.
Yeah.
He greets the army as StarDust moves out.
This is good. This is good here for TLO, just trading away, and behind this his production is flying as well. Yeah. StarDust's army's just got obliterated.
Yeah, now blink's done, but he's lost all his sentries. He's lost his power punch with this, and with TLO building so many units behind this, he just needs to go back to his reinforcements. Doesn't need to be too far in the open. Look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Look at the workers and the army supply. It's a massive, massive difference between these two.
He really read it well because, you know, he saw that third base. It would have been all too easy to just sit back and really not do anything with that. But as we mentioned, it really hasn't been used. He's now back to pro production because StarDust realizes this is a hell of a lot weaker.
And, well, StarDust is going to poke up here, but he's not really going to be able to achieve that much. Look how many units there are still.
Run away. He's going to catch a few of these Stalkers on the retreat out with these Zerglings in pursuit. And even catch the sun with the Roaches there as well. Double Evolution Chamber now goes down for TLO. He feels a bit more in a comfort zone to expand forwards towards better efficiency with all of these units, but he was just relying on the sheer power of numbers.
Well, what's he doing with these units? I'm not too sure where they're going. But yeah, he's got these double evolution chambers, can start 1-1 and Hydralisks. It's beautifully played out here. And droned at the right times, read into the build at the right times, and was ready as StarDust moved out. You can almost say this is, apart from creep spread, been a very perfect game from TLO.
Yeah, looking good. Infestation Pit's on the way. Hydralisk Speed's on the way. Everything is going now as He's up in terms of supply. StarDust has... The thing is, yes, he has a third base, and yes, he's probing towards it, but his tech...
Yeah.
What really does he have to combat against this? It's like Blinkstalkers for a long time. The Robo's just about to finish at the 30-minute mark.
Colossus, basically. Or he could go Immortals. We've seen StarDust kind of favor Stalker Immortal play with a lot of force fields, but I think Colossus would be pretty nice in these positions. The problem is, he's quite a distance from that, which means there's a massive opportunity to TLO to hit before any units like that could be out.
Yeah, and it's so funny that we see TLO going up to Hive. We may just anticipate him trying to get out Vipers, and then he gets over there with a maxed out army with Vipers. He's like, oh, there's no Colossi? Oh, okay, then I guess I'll just blinding cloud stuff and move on forwards from there. He has every single avenue available to him as TLO at this point.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to see just the Sentries rebuilt, Stalkers added on again, and Immortals being thrown into the mix. So just a lot of Hydralisk is going to be good against that. Get the range upgrade. I think he went speed first, then he's got the range now coming in. He's going to have 1-1 quite close, and the Robotics Bay has been thrown down here, but with going up to Hive, if there are Immortals or Colossus, he can easily pull them into the army. And also on top of that, he can use Blinding Cloud too, so overall, just a really good position. StarDust put himself in this, unfortunately, through dedicating to that assault, which TLO was very keen and ready to accept.
And this third base can be very difficult to defend if TLO is going to split off down both of these attack paths and then hit from both sides. You have to force field one location off, or at least try and greet them in one position. This is actually a good move by StarDust to divide and conquer, realizing his opponent was setting up for an attack. But at the same time, the counter here might be quite annoying. He has to throw force fields down behind him if he was going to deal with that side.
Yeah, I think TLO was trying to kind of come for that, as you say, that arc from both sides, but then StarDust greeted him and then was meeting just one of the armies, not both. So didn't work out the way TLO wanted there. Viper's been added onto the mix now. Good full base economy, but StarDust is climbing up. He's about to have +3, and obviously +3 attack against just 1-1 upgrades here for TLO. Quite outmatched in that. And with Colossus added on, that does help too. And there is a Warp Prism and Zealot Harassment going on for StarDust, so he's not out of it yet for sure.
Yeah, StarDust bought himself some time just by pushing that away from that location where it would have tried to come in. So that was a good move by StarDust, realizing that he had to do some good crisis management, but there's Hydralisks there, run away. And he will get away with that.
All right, Greatest Spire thrown down, and also melee from the Evolution Chambers. And a couple of static defenses coming in because of this Warp Prism threatening around. I think, do you think it's wise from TLO to sit back?
I think he could have pressed the issue because there really wasn't much splash damage or anything to deal with this army, and he had Vipers.
Yeah, I guess the threat is if he loses a lot of army, a counterattack could be deadly.
That's true. And, well, you know, he must realize that his opponent has +3 weapons, which with Blink Stalkers, with critical mass, is still pretty strong. So you do have to be careful in that regard.
All right, well, double Colossus added. StarDust army's climbing up now, and he's about to take a 4th base. He's got quite a bit of money in the bank, and has a decent army. The only thing that he's really missing, I would say, is probably the Templar Archive, so he can start to potentially feed back a lot of these units. But TLO's taken his advantage from the early game, and it's pretty much been a parallel game since then, just TLO in a slight lead for the majority of this. With the Ultralis Cavern and Great Aspire, he's going to build up a very powerful army. There is Hallucinate Phoenixes going left and right here for StarDust, trying to figure out what army TLO's trying to build, and he's seen the Great Aspire be morphed in.
And also scout forwards to see if this Warp Prism could get in, but unfortunately that is not the case. I almost died off there for a second. But this army...
well, it's a sacrificial army, Colaris, is because the real one's on the right-hand side picking off the 4th base.
It was a ruse or a trap if you want to go down that avenue as well. And he kills it, so that's really nicely done. And also he frees up supply he's got in the bank. He can make those Corruptors if he wants to, get up to those Broodlords.
These Zealots on the left-hand side, though, with TLO's whole army on the right-hand side. This is a powerful move here, and TLO would go down to 4 bases here. He knows that he has to do something, so he's actually coming in to fight the Nexus.
And he even throws down the Blinding Cloud. Oh, bye-bye Colossus.
Yeah.
Blinding Cloud on those cannons as well, so they won't be able to fire, is a good choice. And needs to get out of there. Those Vipers, he protects them. He turns around to make sure that they can't blink forwards to be sniped down. With that Time Warp now being laid down to catch as many of those units as he can. Stardust's army is like as strong as it's ever going to be right now, I feel. Yeah,
because the Broodlords are getting morphed in, and that's going to be quite difficult. 2 top grades are about to complete for TLO, but he's losing a lot of army supply, retreating back. He's down to 3 bases pretty much, unless he manages to somehow save this one. which with +3 attack should go down.
Yeah, those Zealots hit like an absolute truck. Bye-bye hatchery. The drones even come for the fight. But now StarDust realizes it's his time. He has to really do something. The blink forward kills off one Broodlord instantaneously. This army, forced TLO, is kind of stuck in a really odd spot. It can't really engage there.
If he gets rid of the Colossus, it's pretty much only Stalkers.
And he tries to throw Blinding Cloud down a lot of this. There's a hallucination there, so he can't really grip that forwards. There's only 3 Colossi. He does have a few grips to his name. That one Colossus, oh, this is the saddest tale. Poor little guy. Is he actually going to save that? Oh. Okay, the turnaround, and TLO didn't react as quickly as he would like to pick that off for free. And he's going to go for the fight still. Blinding Clouds, catching a lot of that army. Runs straight forwards. He only has 2 Broodlords to his name.
Nice micro by StarDust. He's doing so much with so little in this game. And he's re-expanding to his 3rd, 4th, and 5th, all at the same time. 3 Ultralists being added on here from TLO. And this is a common problem that TLO is going to have if he doesn't want to use Swarm Host, is that what army is he really using? The biggest complaint from Zerg players and the reason why they use Swarm Host is because they don't know what to use against a Protoss army as the game goes on. And we're seeing a mixture of Roach Hydra, which aren't very good as the game goes on, with Ultralists, a Great Aspire and Broodlords, and a couple of Vipers. It's a bit of a mixed army. And not getting the best of results so far.
It hits strongly, but, I mean, with the way that StarDust has actually played out these later stages, he's setting himself up nicely as well. I mean, this transition, this big transition that he's got going on, I think it might be quite the committal. The Dark Shrine compared to the Fleet Beacon, which he needed for the Broodlords, but there's only 2 of them. So they're not really the biggest of deals in this army.
Yeah, and StarDust is adding on Immortals and also Archons to his army to increase the strength against these Ultralists. He's also got that Warp Prism going on the left-hand side, and with the Dark Shrine finishing, that's going to be a, excuse me, a bit of a nuisance for TLO to deal with.
He's getting pathogen glands for the fungals as well, and eventually this Queen does find it. But those 3 Zealots warping in now. There's 2 Tempests in production as well. I really don't think he needs to go up to many more Tempests at all, unless for some reason he saw an extra wave of Corruptors being morphed in for extra Broodlords. But StarDust is just creating the army to be able to bring this down.
And TLO's kind of a little bit struggling with his income, if you think about it. He's been on 3 bases for most of the game. He's a little bit behind StarDust here. Equal-ish supplies. Zealot Harassment right, Warp Prism left. Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, picks it off. That's good. These 2 Zealots aren't really going to get a whole lot done, whilst the other ones on the other side trying their best, but
I think StarDust's army is just better overall. He hasn't actually added on Archons. He went straight for High Templar, and with Storm, I guess that makes sense here. And quite a few Immortals now. 4 Immortals about to be.
Do you? I mean, at this point, with the setup that we're seeing from TLO, there's really, I don't think there's really an opportunity to do Swarm Host, right? It's past that phase.
Yeah,
it's very difficult. So TLO's going to look for an option elsewhere.
It's not even that big of an army, really.
Yeah. How many easy drones does he have?
Oh, not a lot, but that's a good start of a fight. Blinks back out the Blinding Clouds.
Catches a Viper. There's a few Blinding Clouds during all of that, as you mentioned, but TLO's just going to have to run. There's too much firepower here for StarDust. He's going to even pursue. That's how confident he feels with this. The +3 armor for those Ultralists isn't there. Well, for the entire army isn't there. Neither is +2 weapons for those Ultras. So
very good army for StarDust. It looks almost unbeatable in this game.
It's going to be difficult for TLO to really bring down. The Splink-Stalkers now march on forward to see if he can catch some Broodlords, and they actually do so. Catches 1 at least, but brings 1 very low.
A little bit of a flank setup here from TLO from all sides.
He has to. He has to wrap around this somehow.
He doesn't have any Vipers left for a Blinding Cloud. Would be awesome there.
And a lot of that army on the right-hand side is being picked away at. Meanwhile, the the Ultralists on the left did get brought down quickly as well. StarDust with a massive supply advantage. Even with this attempted wraparound for TLO, it all didn't conjoin properly and focus on that one point at the right time. And StarDust just replenishes brilliantly. He's got such a good bank.
Absolutely great game from StarDust coming in here. Just has built the right armies, controlled the game for the majority of it, and look at the supplies. This game's over for TLO, unfortunately for him.
The resilience, the pressure, everything about this has gone right for StarDust in game number 1. TLO now staring down the barrel. There you go. GG. StarDust takes game number 1. And really well played out by him, gotta say. I thought the mid-game was looking shaky, but look at him. He is happy as roses.
Oh, StarDust. Never change.
Never change indeed. He is one of the happiest guys we have. And the thing is about WCS Europe is everyone's so happy. Everyone's like shaking hands and smiling and being very, very content with just playing one another. And it's nice to see here in WCS Europe.
Yeah, I definitely feel that TLO find himself in a pretty good position after defending against that push out from StarDust. But as you said, didn't really find any opportunities to finish it or put himself further in the lead. And StarDust just slowly but surely climbed back into the game.
I do think that those windows that were just missed by TLO. Like, after doing the big damage to his opponent during... when he was trying to push out with the Blinkstalkers and +2, or just before it, and then from there, I really do think there was the window there. It can be hard to push into that third, but the way in which TLO was set up to try and go for that, there was an opportunity.
All right, so map 2 now, Polar Night. What do you think about this then?
Polar Night.
Yeah.
This has to be the aggressive map for StarDust, right? I mean...
Yeah, because it's really hard to take a successful take in third base for StarDust here if he wants to try to do that.
Yeah.
He can use the similar build order to what he just used on this map, but it's pretty good for TLO to attack into. It's harder to force field well compared to the previous map and so on. And it's a good position for TLO to bring his units from multiple angles to attack into it. Interested to see what StarDust is going to bring to the table. The one good thing on this map for TLO is he is able to scout a little bit easier with all his overlords, kind of just like he did in the previous map. It's one of the benefits of these two-player maps is you can get overlords in perfect and prime positions to go in and see what's going on. Do you expect maybe we could see like an immortal push or something like that, a very executed one?
Yeah. I mean, that's StarDust to a T. Although, when I say that, I think that's StarDust of mid-2013 to a T. He showed in that previous game that despite him always favoring that aggressive playstyle, he's still able to play it out from that point in a macro focus very, very well. And we've seen that a lot from StarDust as of late. So, all these people saying that StarDust, he's just a cheesy player, it's just not true anymore, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely super hyper-aggressive, but can always just fall back onto, just the standard Protoss play, which we kind of saw in that game. All right, so TLO definitely entered this group feeling very confident. I spoke to him earlier and asked him about his condition and his form, and he says, feeling great. Had a nice and easy, relaxing train journey over from Berlin, 5 hours. Arrived 9 o'clock last night. Had some food, went to sleep, got up early today and played a lot, felt great, and was very confident coming into these games. But now, he could be going down to the losers match already if he loses this one.
Yeah, and it's... I was doing all right yesterday and the day before with my predictions, but if StarDust is able to win this one, then I am guaranteed already wrong, because I was going with what you were saying, TLO, Wellmu doing really well, but...
We could be wrong together.
Yeah. All right, let's get into game number 2, guys, for WCS Europe 2014 Group C, StarDust versus TLO. It's a good series so far. Can StarDust continue on that trend? And will TLO get it back 1-1 as we have spawning up to the northern position as our red Protoss representing my insanity? It's StarDust. And down to the south, our blue Zerg, representing Team Liquid, it's TLO.
So do you think you agree with what I said earlier, is that how he doesn't use swarmos can actually hurt him a lot in today's group if he's not going to use them at all, considering that seems to be the one unit that Zerg can hold on to fight against Protoss?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, on a map like Heavy Rain, we've seen a lot of really strong swarm host play. We casting have seen some amazingly strong swarm host play because the map does just favor it in general. And the cost efficiency of it can be absolutely through the roof. But TLO didn't want to use it. TLO was, I mean, just in general, we've very, very rarely seen him do it, right? So
doesn't like it.
No.
I actually, I'm not sure who, it was Rogue versus Hero from Pro League that was played about 2 weeks ago or something. It was the first time that we saw a successful Swarm host play with a bit of European twist to it, which means static defense basically. And Rogue played it in Pro League and actually sat down with TLO on Skype and just talked through it together. And he did look like he was a little bit interested in playing a similar style to himself and has used it a couple of times in practice, but it's not him. He doesn't like it. It's not, you know, if we look at TLO, if we were to describe TLO, of course, the first word that pops to mind is creative, baby. Yes. Oh, his creativity's off the scale. But he's an aggressive player. He's very control-based. He doesn't like to sit back and play it passive like Snoop does, for example. And he just simply, as mentioned, doesn't enjoy using them. But it could be a hindrance. Could be a hindrance.
I'm looking forward to that time when TLO's like, all right, I'll turn to the dark side. Yeah, that would...
Like Jaedong has done, but it's not quite good enough with them yet.
Eventually, man, Jaedong will. Eventually.
Yeah.
He'll be the monster that he always has been. But no, like I'm looking forward to that moment where TLO, like, he's like, right, I'm done with pro gaming. He goes and applies for a job, and it's like on his CV, on his resume, it's like, describe yourself in a few words. And it's like, bubbly, quirky, creative, like, uh-oh.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. So the openings from both players here, quite standard. Just the regular openings, a fast second base taken here by StarDust. He's getting his cybernetics core on the way, of course, for him to enable his tech tree to be able to choose one of three options. Of course, Robotics Facility, Stargate, and Twilight Council. Depending on what he feels today, we could see one of them be super aggressive. If he wants to try a Robotics Facility Immortal attack or something like that. TLO's taken one gas a little bit earlier than normal, which does allow him to get Zergling speed a little bit earlier, but also doesn't need to focus on getting a second gas too early unless he wants to dedicate quite a bit. Already seen a movement out here from StarDust, just like he did in the previous game. Just a little bit of pressure. I mean, if the Zealot's at home, it's doing nothing, but it could do at least something out in the open. Maybe force a couple more lings, maybe get a drone if he's lucky.
Yeah, and forcing lings on this map is something that is generally the norm, right? I mean, Queen's getting from that natural to the third base. Good luck with that. It's a very, very long way. You don't have creep spread in between those two locations. And the Zealot's going to chill out for now and just see what it can find in between these two bases. Is he actually going to pressure the natural with this?
Poke up, poke down. Make sure there's lings being built, 6 of them.
Yeah.
But if you think about TLO in this game, he's built no lings already. I mean, he's built no lings so far, so 6 is fine now to do so. And with 6 lings, he'll clean the Zealot up and also just take map control. And with the early Zergling speed or the earlier Zergling speed, can just feel more comfortable around the map. Can take the Xel'Naga towers, can look around. But yes, we see the Robotics Facility being thrown down as StarDust's choice of tech.
And two gases taken at the natural, which... I think he knows that TLO with the Overlord is probably going to be able to see those. This drone, run away, little fella.
I think that something that StarDust has used frequently, if I'm not mistaken, is taking double gases quite fast. And I think that I'm not sure if it was him or another player, did like to throw down a Twilight Council to go Blink with his Immortal push. And we may see that because obviously Blink is a pretty sexy upgrade, and with the gas he's got, it's either going to be very heavy sentry, but it also could be what I said. I think it was him that has done it before, but we'll see.
I think from here it's going to be the heavy sentry option.
Yeah.
It's certainly looking to line up like that. And again, TLO, with seeing those gases at the natural, it's a bit harder for him to fully read into exactly what's going on. Oh, he didn't see the one down at the bottom. But
and with StarDust rushing so many probes out here too, he focused a lot of Chrono Boost into his Nexus. It's not like the fastest Immortal attack we've ever seen from Parting, who was one of the guys who brought down the time faster and faster and faster and faster. This is actually a very powerful but more delayed one. So if TLO, for example, let's just put an example out there, goes in, spots it, is like, all right, low drones, build. Well, this attack isn't really hitting very fast. It's a high probe one, and it's slower, but it's going to be a lot more powerful when it comes to the sentry count and also the gateway count.
Yeah, and you need high amounts of sentries on the map like this, because if you're going to hit the third base, very big open area to really control. That's probably why we're seeing this decision making coming out from StarDust. You need a lot of force fields, and there's the Hydralisk Den actually complementing these Zerglings. And
TLO does see exactly what's going on. Hasn't actually seen the Robotics Facility, but caught the Immortals here, and we are going to see a small little movement out here. There's no probe or anything out on the map.
Well, he has that pylon above his main, right, to warp in Zealots or whatever he wants to warp in down onto the low ground, which is the real good focus point here from StarDust.
Hydralisks are being made here, and there's quite a few of them. Carapace not going to be too effective for quite a bit in this game. But this is... let's look how many force fields are possible here. There's no creep spread to the left-hand side, by the way, of TLO's third base, so it's going to be quite hard to defend this area. And I'm not sure if StarDust has spotted that there is no creep spread down here, but he's going to choose to fight there anyway. It's a very good...
Oh, Immortal! Oh, run away!
Yeah, he's going to get it, I think. Yeah, he should be.
Pick up, pick up!
Oh, Warp Prism comes out of nowhere.
Nice. Hot pickup. Very good. So, saves that Immortal. More and more sentries. He's up to 12 right now.
It's a lot of Hydralisk too, though, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Pylon cancelled on the right-hand side. I mean, and TLO's got creep spread on the right-hand side third base too.
Is he really doing that? He's actually going to hit this on double fronts. This could be difficult. That's a lot of damage in that Immortal, but I've not really seen this variation too much.
TLO splits off to equal it. And remember that means that there's no reinforcements to StarDust's left army, because there's no Pylon or Warp Prism.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be down to force fields, very, very actively used. And this army's going to go all the way around.
TLO's coming from... Yeah, he's coming from the back here. Look at this.
But there's still so many force fields available to him. So many if he wants to. He gets the expansion, he recalls out, and he's just going to run off.
He's got the Robo Bay and Twilight Council. Remember, he's got the high amount of probes. He's got 1,600 minerals in the bank. Oh, StarDust.
Oh.
That is so you.
Well, yeah. It doesn't matter. He killed off an expansion for now. And he's just going to warp in a lot of Stalkers. If that Twilight Council had been a little bit earlier, though, and he'd have Blink Up with a follow, that could be devastating for TLO, but TLO's still got a strong army himself.
A very strong one. And remember, until Colossus are out, the Hydralisks are sick.
Yeah.
Force fields have to be very good at splitting these up.
He could just send some of those Zerglings up to the main if he wants to, but he's going to actually try and fight this army.
So a lot of force fields used without really getting that much. He trapped a couple of Zerglings, sure, but...
Please send some Zerglings up into the main. It would be, well, very, very nice. But at the same time, I think he wants to keep everything together just in case the straight engagement does end up coming.
All right, here, it's about to happen, I think.
Force fields get thrown down to separate some of this army off, but unfortunately, StarDust can't really pursue and do too much damage.
Remember, TLO doesn't have Hydra speed yet, so it's not like he can run away from this. He has to fight.
That's true. That is very true. That's a lot of Hydralisks, and their damage is good, but is it good enough to bring down this army? Yeah, it's just dividing and conquering. Look at the supply count even up.
Hydra speed. Done.
Run away.
Get out of there, guys.
Run away.
Colossus are being made now, too. Remember, there's no Spire. So, and the Warp Prism's still around.
Oh, hi, guys.
Things are going very well for StarDust, and killing that third hatchery, such an annoyance to the income of TLO.
Yeah, I've got to compliment StarDust's decision-making based on how he was trying to draw his opponent away from certain locations with the Warp Prism and then focusing just on the hatchery alone, force fielding it off. I mean, why not do that? Negate your opponent, kill off the expansion, and just go home when you're then evening up your economies, in essence, for a while until his extra third had finished.
Well, the third is going to be taken now by StarDust. TLO, I'm a little bit afraid if he doesn't have anything to deal with the Colossus. What happens if two Colossus, with this army? He's still got a lot of sentries. He didn't really lose them, and the energy's starting to bank up again, which means he can protect the Colossus rather well. And unless TLO has some, remarkable surround...
There's just no answer.
And he's only got Carapace. He hasn't got any attack upgrades either. Something to think about too.
Yeah, it's not like he's doing anything else with his money. He's just adding on Lings, Hydralisks, and then trying to bust his opponent. Eventually, I guess, he's got the army available to him in the main to deal with this Warp Prism, but they run away as that Warp Prism comes in, and he'll eventually clean it up. Doesn't get the Warp Prism, though, which is really annoying.
Yeah. And he does actually see this. He's going to get a cancel here.
Ooh,
the units are a little bit out of position for StarDust. Doesn't have any observers, doesn't have any map control, doesn't know where TLO's army's going to be, so he's trying to cover two bases, really, or two locations, his natural and third. And that's a nice pick-off. Funker.
He understands my pain. And I understand yours, Funker. I'm so sorry. But yeah, for now, StarDust actually trying to set himself up this third over. And the left-hand side, I actually don't mind this for the army positioning. It's going to be a bit easier for him to jump between those two locations if he positions his army right in the middle where he would be defending natural anyway.
StarDust does see the Infestation Pit and no Spire. So this could trigger an attack from him, realizing that this is still only Hydra Link. And there's an opportunity to go before TLO has anything to do with the Colossus. And the Colossus count is, with that one coming out, going to be 3 in a moment.
That's difficult to deal with.
Very difficult, I think, especially considering that StarDust's force fields are pretty good. He's getting a bit proactive in the middle of the map here. He's got that warp prism around still as well.
I wonder if he knows about that third location, actually, because no, he doesn't. He's sat at this one on the right-hand side. He sees a probe there for a second. He might actually completely be dumbfounded and think that there's just going to be attack coming right now, which technically there is.
Well, it's on creep. Colossus. Oh, there's units at the back here. Cloris.
If he just force fields off the back, then he could actually divide and conquer once again. He force fields off the front instead to try and combat this. It's a good choice, any choice he would get, but one of the Colossus did end up falling. Second one so close to falling, but is saved. And then with the third rendezvousing.
It was all about a surround from TLO, and that was the surround, but he only killed off one. And now there's two of them there. And then the warp prism as well, which means TLO has to come back to defend it or lose his natural drone line or hatchery. And that means StarDust can push forward.
This is very difficult here for TLO. StarDust is playing a very good game out so far. And he now pushes forwards towards this third base.
Just a great understanding of StarDust, realizing that TLO has nothing to deal with them, knows he's trying to go up to Hive, not going to work, and he kills off all these hatcheries.
Hitting him everywhere. StarDust is showing why his record in this matchup is so strong. Regardless of how much you try and hold off his aggression to begin with, the resources lost for you are always going to look pear-shaped. As TLO now is on the verge of defeat. StarDust with this army, there is nothing to rival it. 3 Vipers on the way, but that's all that's going to be here for TLO. That's it. That's his last army to hold this off.
Yeah, and StarDust should be happy with the with what he's gained so far. He doesn't need to attack into this, as there is a nice concave set up for TLO. Pretty much ideal, but great force fields on the left.
Oh wow, and Blink's back here, just keeping those out of
Look at the Hydras, they're like dancing around the force fields, they can't do anything.
Not a thing at all. Viper dies off at the back, second one's flying into no man's land. This is a greet to Colossus as it comes along to help out the fight, and even the one that's draining energy to try and get those ducks there is just not working out. StarDust now lays waste to the natural, and TLO is all but done.
And I think in the bottom of the screen you'll see him type GG, there it is. StarDust takes a 2-0.
Wow.
Over the favorite, or fan favorite, should we say, TLO. But, oh, bit of a cheeky celebration dance there from StarDust. And 2-0, so that's a great result there from StarDust. Coming into this, I think, is a slight favorite overall.
Yeah.
But very convincing 2-0 too.
He's basically just said, don't you doubt me. Don't you doubt me. I am a killer. And now he goes to, what is that, 20-2 now in WCS PVZs?
20 games won against Zerg, 2 losses against Zerg. That's an incredible record that StarDust maintains, and looks like they're having a bit of a one-on-one here about the games there. Just kind of StarDust probably telling his weaknesses and TLO saying that, you know, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good game from StarDust. He does go into the winners match there. Look at TLO's face. That's like, don't you dare tell me how I lost. Actually, do you know what's really funny? This reminds me a lot of one guy. And for any maybe players that are listening or watching this cast or watching it in the future or whatever, is there was one guy that used to do this a lot, and it actually secretly irritated players, and I won't say who they irritated. Do you know who I'm on about?
I have a hunch.
Who do you think?
Okay, no, I'm gone.
White Ra.
Oh, really?
When he beat you, he would come over to your booth, say GG, which is completely fine, you know, but then he would go on for 5 to 10 minutes about how he won and what you did wrong. And we'd be like, yeah, I think you could do this and this and this.
Oh, geez.
And he used to do it a lot, even back in Brood War, he used to do it a lot too. And a lot of people that I spoke to were like, you know what, I love you so much, but I don't want to hear this right now. It just reminds you of that right now, looking at these two on screen.
Yeah, it's like, and the thing is, it's White Ra, right? He has the best of intentions. He's like one of the happiest guys.
He just wants to talk about the game.
And as is StarDust, he also has the best of intentions and is a happy guy, and that does it. I mean, he now advances on 2-0, and he's going to be playing against Baby Knight in a PvP.
Yes.
And now that I think back, I think these guys have actually played quite a bit of PvP against one another.
Yeah, I think so. And this is going to be a good one because we didn't know what to expect from Baby Knight, but we knew what to expect from StarDust. And with these two going head to head, I'm pretty sure that Todd's going to be looking forward to that one.
Oh yeah, he's having a whale of a day here with all the Protoss.
I know, and tomorrow too.
Oh yeah, he is as well. All right, guys, so we can hear from the winner advancing on to play against Baby Knight. It's My Insanity StarDust.
Thank you, congratulations, StarDust, fantastic. Great win, 2-0, and your Zerg record in WCS continues to rise. 20 wins, 2 losses. So Let's talk about the two matches with TLO. I know you've got a great deal of respect for him and you like the way he plays, and I saw you talking to him at the end, so we'll talk about that as well. From the match point of view, did things go the way you thought they would go? Did you have him figured out?
When?
Yeah, did you have him figured out? Did you know what he was going to do?
Yes, I know. I watched this VOD from like IEM, WCS something. So I'm pretty predict his build order. So I'm just counting that. Even my kind of chijorin is failed, but I know he don't have much drone like compared to me. Like maybe I can play more macro game because I have very good unit group because I have so many century with full mana, Stalker, Immortal, but my opponent have like just Ro16 and Hydra, so I have confidence about that.
Okay, so what were you talking to TLO about at the end?
I'm a little bit ashamed because I'm sniping his everything. Because usually I don't watching my opponent VOD, not much, but this time I don't practice much because I'm a little bit homesick nowadays. So just watching VOD, then how to win very easily instead of fantastic macro. Because I don't have, I even don't have fantastic macro. So
I don't know about that. I got asked earlier. Someone said to me, "Ask StarDust why he cheeses so much." But I spoke to Penguin, and he said he thinks Jack G cheeses more than you do.
Think so, because usually I didn't do much cheese, but people always say, cheese dust, shit dust. But
so is Jack G more cheesy?
I don't know, but maybe around half percent, 50% is macro game, 50 is cheese, but I'm playing Protoss. That's the reason why I do many cheese.
So I'm gonna translate that for you. Jack G is more cheesy than StarDust.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
He always doing like center BBS, center SBB, 11-11 Velox. I'm not.
Well, there you heard it. Officially, Jack G more cheesy than StarDust. Well done, StarDust. Congratulations. 2-0 win over TLO. Let's find out how you did it.
Thanks, Red Eye. Fantastic performance by StarDust. Once again, I was looking at Jack G's face while this interview was happening. He has the biggest smile on his face right now, so definitely taking it well. We're going to be taking a look at the first game, because the second game was, I was going to say very straightforward. Actually, it wasn't really, but in my opinion, what was important really happened in the first... Hello. So we're going to be jumping in the first game, and I want to talk a little bit about something. I'm going to be asking you about something too. But I want to look where those rocks went down early on.
Yes.
We cannot really jump from one moment to another too easily, so I'm just going to talk about it, and we're going to picture, again, what's happened. We all remember the roaches were coming in from here.
Yes.
You were here with your sentries and stalkers.
Yes.
And you saw that the roaches were killing the rocks.
Yes.
Why didn't you go into full defensive mode?
Because usually TLO make like 7-8 roach for very safety defense, but so I just expect he have only 8 maybe. Now
So you think it's a fake?
Yeah, it's just a little bit offensive fake motion. Yeah.
Okay, so I noticed that your third base was just a fake also. You weren't making probes. You had 17 and 17 in your main and natural, and you made 3 gates here, so you really wanted to do a very strong push. So I want to go back to this position, and I want to teach... No, the position where the rocks are.
Yes.
Yeah, it works. I want to teach something to people. I'm sure you already know this, but actually your force fields were very bad in this fight. You lost all sentries. So I think a very good way to throw down force fields in this situation, in my opinion, is to already picture how the fight is going to go. And in this case, StarDust thought it was a fake, so that's why I think his force fields kind of messed up. But if you know that roaches are going to come through this avenue here, going into this here and only having the vision around your army, you need to already picture that line that you're going to draw, and you're going to close the door with the force fields. If you're able to picture that, you're almost never going to fail at doing them. If you try to do them at the last second when you see the units, too many units will get in there, you will force field behind like StarDust did, and then you will lose a bunch of sentries. So I think you are behind after this.
Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry.
Okay.
But after this, now we're going to take a look at the 18th minutes. You are behind, but everybody was playing passive. He got a force base. You're on Blink Stalkers +3 already. You're getting charged. So everything is falling into order. You're getting a bunch of Colossus. And you catch this army here out of position. How did this happen? Like you spotted it somehow?
Just I saw his unit move.
Okay, and so you're gonna go for this logical move. But TLO on the other side of the map was sending some units here.
Yes.
So basically at this point he wanted to lose roaches and hydralisks so that he could get broodlords behind this and ultras because he's taking to that. His upgrades on melee, they weren't great. So we can play the game from here. And we can see that TLO, as much as he wanted to lose those units,
Yes.
and he's gonna lose them not trading with them, you do something very smart. You kill those units and then you go and catch the other part of the army. I think a lot of Protoss players, maybe here they would have counterattacked this base. Why didn't you do this? What motivated you to think you could catch this army?
Because I saw his unit here, so I expect I'm already here. It's very close.
Yeah.
Even I have liquor, so he don't attack my sword. It's
Okay.
my expect. So taking his force by Gillot, so I can go with my army is here. So then if even he come my next sword, I can using my liquor. So everything is my plan. So
Yeah.
then
This was very smart. I think here maybe you should turn around and fight to trade this army, but it wouldn't even be cost effective. Like he would get crushed by this army. So this was very smart by you to cut through there. Now, you're thinking you have to counterattack. You shouldn't wait, right?
yes.
Because you lost your Nexus and your other base, and you counterattack and you end up being very fortunate. There's like some Broodlord over here that are gonna get
Yes.
sniped. So, do you think you can finish the game now and go all the way, or you think you should just snipe this base and pull back? It's a better choice, and why?
Just I wanted to give some pressure because he already using his Viper mana, everything. So then I have only 3 Colossus. So when he have enough mana for one adapt, then I will losing.
Okay.
So just waiting this
Until
Viper
it's-
mana,
yeah.
then pull back.
Okay. I think it was a good choice in the end because you didn't lose much here. You pulled back, you traded, you got some units here and there. But now he's going into Ultras. What are you expecting out of him at this point? Do you know he's going into Broodlords for sure? Are you trying to prepare for that? What is going through your head? Like, what's your plan at this point? Because this is not a usual game that we saw here.
I'm usually expect mass Broodlord, so I make Tempest, but I didn't see much Broodlord. Then he don't have enough resource for making something very high-tech unit.
So you know where his economy is at, even though you
Yes.
can't see it right now.
Yes.
Because you sniped his base, you know that he cannot get too many units. You saw the Broodlords already, but did you think he was going to try to remake Broodlords, or you thought he will focus on Ultras?
Even he make like Broodlord or Ultra, it doesn't matter because I have very strong army group.
Yeah, that's what I thought. At this point, you're basically trying to get the perfect army that you can get. You're getting Storm. Very good job with the upgrades as well, starting +3 immediately. You're getting a bunch of Immortals, almost as many as he has Ultras. And actually, can you go back a little bit, Funka? I want to see the beginning of that engagement. I think that was very good by you. You got some really good feedbacks. Sorry, this is a very long analysis, but StarDust this year might as well make it count. Can we look at StarDust's view here? I really like that move that you did here.
It's mistake.
Okay. I still like it. Because
I don't know why my high tempo is here.
Okay, let's stay on the vision of StarDust. And you reacted very quickly. You went very big feedback.
Yes.
Okay, so now you find it. Now this is not mistake anymore. Now you're controlling and you're actually
Yes.
trying to get some feedback. And there, you're gonna snipe this one very quickly. The Vipers are very important. Without the Vipers, you crush this army very easy. You blink back very nicely. You feed back the other one. Storm this army. He's getting crushed at this point. Now, you're on counter-attack mode. You know you can end the game. Even in the production tab, those Ultras, they're not going to do all that much. And I love the way you are patient. I know you as the guy who always attacks our lot very, very quickly, but now it looked very calculated.
Yes.
It looked like you're a new player. You know, a lot of people say you cheese, you talked about it, but now this was, I guess you could call it 4 base, even though that one died. And now you get the good engagement and you secure the game. Anything else you would like to add about this?
It was just a lucky play. I didn't expect about that. My strategy, it was just like 11 minutes when I go to first attack, and it must finish.
Okay.
Was not, but just I play, then just a lucky day. Yeah.
Okay. So there you have it. He wanted to finish the game quickly, but he didn't manage to, so he freestyled and played it beautifully and won. Thank you very much, StarDust. That's going to be it for the analysis. Let's go and head on back to the social media with Red Eye.
Thank you very much, Todd, and thank you to our guest analyzer as well, StarDust, getting involved in that. We've been monitoring social media, of course, as wherever we do. We've been looking at all of the fantastic tweets that you've had and the comments that you've been making on Facebook as well. But we've also been keeping track of the Team Liquid live thread. Hello to you guys out there. Thank you for your passion. And also on Reddit, where a certain man called Thumper has been doing a few GIFs, like this one. Let's put this up now. Yeah, so basically what's going on here is that Snoot basically won yesterday, and as a celebration for being not very well, he was being exercised by his three brethren in the GIF. And thank you, Thumper, for these. We really enjoy them. We've been having a lot of laughs about the Dark Lord being not very happy with certain players and very happy with others. And if you think that as a host I've done a good job, then maybe I can be offered as a sacrificial host or something. Or better still, hopefully you can do another one today after Group C. We really love those, so keep them coming. Thank you so much for those. And if you've got any comments on those, please let us know. Make sure you visit Reddit StarCraft just to check these out. They're fantastic. So thank you very much to Thumper. We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll have more action from StarCraft 2 with the upper bracket. It's the winners' final. It's StarDust versus Baby Nut.